Orange juice goes well with acid, and it's just that like life is crazy. And I had that like that concrete thought of life is crazy when all of a sudden the intro kind of synth trumpets of Livin' La Vida Loca comes on, and I was like, I swear I was like crying in the middle of this diner being like, this is the most beautiful moment of my life.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Maximum Zach. On today's episode, we have Sam Brown.
What's up?
How's it going, dude?
Good. I brought my dog.
Hell yeah. What's your dog's name?
Flicka.
Flicka. Hi.
She's a good girl. Yeah.
Cute dog.
Thanks, man.
Okay. Yeah, so we...
First dog you had in our show?
Yeah, it's the first dog we've had in here, for sure.
Sick.
For some reason, I thought you were going to say, this is the first dog you've had? Like, it's not mine. Dude, I can barely take care of myself, dude.
Having the dog will teach you how to take care of yourself.
Does it really work that way, you think?
No. I think there are people who are genuinely not responsible enough to
I feel like I would probably get it.
Yeah.
You know, at some point.
Some point it'll click. Hopefully it's before the dog dies. But
yeah, that would be the best case scenario.
Yeah. If not,
Yeah, if not,
as goes life.
Yeah. We sort of met. Well, we actually didn't. We just sort of saw each other working on the air conditioner.
Yeah. We said, I was actually like a little starstruck because
I was starstruck when I saw you. No way.
Because the video, the Headstrong Suck You Off video, I thought was the funniest fucking thing. And this is a weird thing to say. Is so my friend Trevor died, who I worked with.
Yeah.
And I saw that I think a week or two after, when I was in it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so funny, and I was laughing at it, and it was so stupid, and I was just like I was singing it. I think a friend of mine who I hadn't talked to in a long time, who I have not the best relationship with, sent me condolences, and I didn't know how to respond, so I just sent them that video. And they
my God.
didn't respond, and it was
yeah, he's in a great place right now. He's doing good.
He's like, So yeah, Headstrong will suck you off. I was like, that's gold.
Hell yeah, thank you. Thanks. Look, I love making silly songs, dude. That shit's really fun.
It's the best.
Yeah,
making your own lyrics for stuff.
Yeah, it literally is. Trying to think I've been making a lot of parodies lately. I'm trying to think. I have a bunch. It always ends up being about jerking off or dicks or cum or shit. Right now, my problem is I have too many about cum, and I'm going back and forth between cum and shit.
Never enough. Never.
And pissing.
Yeah. I teach these sketch classes, and all the time during sketch classes, I have to be because I'm talking about sketch forms, and I'll have to be this, and come up with a hypothetical sketch, and it's always so it's a restaurant, and the guy's ordering cum, and it's always shit or cum, because it's just funny. I don't know. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. So I get it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I had a feeling you would get it.
Yeah. Never enough cum or shit,
That's always true.
Yeah.
So, so where are you from?
I'm from Massachusetts. I'm from a town called Sandwich.
No, it's called Sandwich.
Yeah, Sandwich, Massachusetts.
Do they have good sandwiches? I know you probably hate that question.
The thing that everyone that
pops up on the internet every once in a while is that the police are the sandwich police. Yeah.
And so everyone's thinks it's the funniest thing, but when you're growing up, it sucks because they're cops.
Yeah.
Cops, how they're assholes.
Yeah.
And then they're assholes who are called something silly, like the sandwich police. And so then they're extra big assholes.
I'm just imagining.
Don't give me tickets, guys. To any cops that might be watching the show, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's mainly cops that watch this, so you're kind of fucked.
Oh yeah, blue eyes, right?
Yeah, there's just a thin blue line on the
One of those flags.
It just turns to the Punisher symbol.
I was so bummed. I bought a Punisher shirt, Target, and I was like, "This is funny. It's the Punisher skull." And my partner was like, "No, you can't wear that." I was like, "Why?" And she's like, "January 6th." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, they co-opted the Punisher." And I was like, "No, people get that this is." And she was like, "No,
not anymore, dude." Yeah, you can't do anything Punisher. Everyone's just like, "Whoa, bro, where were you on January 6th?"
You're like, come on, Punisher was like Spider-Man with guns. Like,
yeah, Punisher's sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just pretend like I don't like it now.
Yeah. You can't read the comic books anymore.
You can't do it.
You can't watch the movie. Punisher Warzone's a fucking good movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that like one of the newer ones?
It is. It's really silly. It was the guy from that show Rome. Did you ever watch Rome?
Mm.
Some guy who like looks like Gerard Butler
yeah.
Plays the Punisher in it, but it's just super gory. It's just like
it's
really silly and over the top. It's really funny. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Were you always like into comedy as a kid? Or like did you like so like when I was a kid, like I started making videos like really young.
Yeah.
Were you doing that too?
Yeah. I mean like there's like two big things, which was my mom like always like bought like gadgets and stuff, so she always had like camcorders, and so there was always like 2 tapes in the family tapes that were like unmarked, and it was like me and my brother just fucking around with the camera and stuff.
Yeah.
But my brother skateboarded, and and then so I inevitably started skateboarding, and I sucked at skateboarding.
Same.
And so I always was like the guy holding the camera, and like hates cameras. Like that was nothing.
It's okay.
That was nothing.
It's okay.
Oh, this is why you don't have dogs on podcasts. Oh. Okay, come on, it's cool.
That's fine.
But yeah, so I used to like do all like the filming, and then like, and that was like the thing was like, I was would like all my I didn't skateboard because I liked skateboarding. I skateboarded because I liked like not being on a baseball team,
Yeah.
Like I skateboarded because I liked hanging out with these people, and we'd be like, hey, let's go to the same place every day and just fuck around for like 5 hours until it got dark. And I was like, sweet, like, yeah,
there's definitely a lot of camaraderie with skateboarding. Just a lot of fun.
And like the skate videos were so funny because it was like you pay like $20 for a skate video, maybe more, but like, that's like as much as you'd pay for like a movie or something like that. And instead you'd get like this half-hour tape. But it was like not just skateboarding, it was like skateboarding and music and like weird little art videos and like comedy sketches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That they would just make fucking, and it was like, that was the kind of stuff that was like, that blew my mind, and was like, the stuff that I was like doing with my friends was making like funny videos like that, and so we started like learning cable access stuff just to like have because you could like just sign up and have access to all the equipment.
Oh, that's sick.
And so, but we never like we like said we were making a show, but never released any.
Yeah.
But it was just like we were just using these huge cable access cameras to videotape us skateboarding.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool. Did you try to make a show at all, or was it mainly just like filming the skating?
No, we did try. Like we had them like done, but we were just like, it's not good enough. It's not. And it's like I'm bummed because I feel like if we like put them out there, we'd still have them, and we don't. But we used to make like videos because they had like a blue screen back then.
Yeah.
And like so we used to make videos like where we like basically like what was that, like Pacific Rim, like Godzilla kind of stuff, where we make like robot costumes.
Yeah.
Sandwich is like a beach town, so we would like fight on the beach in robot costumes, and then Yeah.
That's fucking sick. So this is all like pre-YouTube, right? Yeah. Like way before that.
Yeah, I mean, Whitest Kids was pre-YouTube. Like, Whitest Kids, like, when YouTube came out, it was funny because we were like, oh, like, we weren't even thinking, like, people will watch our stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
We were just like, oh, we can host our videos on here and not have to pay more. Because, like, we would, like, have a video do well, and it would crash the site, and we'd have to pay for more bandwidth.
Oh, fuck.
And so, yeah, that was, like, a weird part of like being on the internet. It was like we had like something that like went like E-bombs world viral. Yeah.
How did Whitest Kids U'd Know like start exactly?
We Trevor, I was going to school in New York, and I found out that there was a Upright Citizens Brigade theater, like.
Mm-hmm.
Which I just knew from the TV show. Like, I just, like, knew their Comedy Central show. And so I didn't know anyone in New York, you know? It's not like, I say that like, it's like I was like 18. Like,
yeah, you should know everything.
Yeah. Yeah, but, like, I didn't have any friends in New York. And then, like, I, you know, found out there was this theater, so I started going to shows there all the time. And when you're like young, it's just like they're all the same in a way. So you go to open mics and you don't know that like open mics are like awkward and weird and like
yeah.
Like, so I was just like expecting comedy, and so I went to this one. I remember seeing this tall guy who was like taking notes, and I was like, oh, that guy's got a notebook. He must be really professional at this. And he goes up to the microphone when he gets called up and just starts, it looks like he's about to say something, and then just takes two pens and starts going, basically having like a dog fight with two pens for like 5 minutes. And I was like, that's hilarious. So I went up to him and I was like, man, that was so funny. And he went, thanks, and then walked away. And see, like, and also, like, part of this is at that time, I lived in this general housing dorm in Brooklyn, which was like, I went to the School of Visual Arts, but like, I didn't apply in time to get in their actual dorm. Like, they were all filled up, and instead of being like, oh, you're shit out of luck, you gotta live on the streets, they're like, all right, there's this company that owns a building in Brooklyn Heights, you can get housing there. And so I lived a half hour away from my school in this dorm, and it was people from all over New York.
Yeah.
But the kind of common denominator was two things. Was that they didn't have RAs, and they were all like the laziest people who like, you know, like didn't get into their dorms in time and didn't fill out applications in time. You know, and so anyway, so it was like weird and isolating, and I kept on going to UCB, and I went back to this other show, and it was an improv show, and they invited me up to like interview me about to like base the improv off of.
Yeah.
And I ended up they asked me if there was a word I used that like me and my friends used that people might not know the definition of. And there was this hardcore band staying with a friend of mine, and they used the word mung and taught us this word mung. And so all senior year, me and my friend used the word mung, and that was the only thing I could think of. And do you know what mung is?
No, what is mung?
Mung is, or at least the definition I've heard of mung, is you take an old lady with a big fupa. And like, mind you, like, that's the only word I could think of, so I was telling this story at 18 in front of an audience of like 50 people. And like, you take an old lady with like a big fupa, and you take her out into the woods, and you tie her up, and so she dies out there. And like, and I had to be like, I didn't come up with this word. It's not anything I did or anything. And then you come back there like weeks later, she's like dead and hopefully ripened, and I say hopefully. This is an imaginary woman. This is an imaginary, you know, person. And you come out there with like a like a friend in a chair or maybe like a boulder and a rope, and you put your mouth down there, and then the friend jumps on the fupa, and anything that comes out is mung. But like it's a catch-all for like something gross. For, If like someone knocks over some crap, you're like, oh, like
Dude,
you got mung all over your floor. Yeah,
dude, I'm gonna start saying that.
Yeah, but like the audience afterwards was like dying. It wasn't like I was like planning on it or anything, but like they were like really laughing, and afterwards. That guy came up to me, and it was Trevor, and he was like, hey, you're really funny. You go to SVA. And he was like, I go to SVA. And I was like, oh, cool. He was like, we should start a sketch group. So, like, the first time I met Trevor, or the second time, really, but, like, the first conversation I had with Trevor, we agreed to start a sketch group. And then it turned out that he lived a floor above me at the dorm. And then, like, all my, like, lifelong friends came from, like, that dorm and that kind of, yeah. And then the funny thing there was that after the conversation, I went to get on the subway to go back to Brooklyn. And I see him and his girlfriend are, like, across the subway. And I was like, later on, I was like, yeah, where were you guys going that night? He was like, oh, I thought it would be awkward if we rode the subway together, so we took the uptown subway a couple stops and then took it back. I was like, oh, so you were like avoiding me? He was like, yeah, we were avoiding you. Yeah.
So, like, how did Whitest Kids U'd Know end up on TV? Did it start, like, since you guys were making sketches in school, right?
Well, we were a big, like, 11-person group in school, and then, like, when it got to the point that we were leaving school, because we, like, had it as a school club where, like, the school, we were using the theater and using the space and using the equipment. And then when we were leaving school, it was like, all right, we're not going to have any of that anymore.
Yeah.
And we had this hard conversation of, like, you know, I had with a couple with Trevor and Zach, where it was like, how do we realistically see this continuing?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's that thing of just like, you know, we like everyone in the group, but like, it might not be like the as unified of a voice as we wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so we cut it down to 5 people basically, and then we're just like, all right, now we're gonna like reinvest ourselves in this thing and like try really hard. And so for like months it was like just we were going up at stand-up shows and not really doing anything and not really knowing what we were. And then luckily there was this club in New York called Pianos that David Cross did a show at, and he had to do Arrested Development.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had this opening all of a sudden of this spot, and Zach's roommate at the time was the booker.
Oh.
And so that was our like foot in the door, and we went there and we kind of like were like you know, like, here's our pilot that we made.
Yeah.
Independent, like this stupid like half-hour pilot that we put way too much money and time into, and they watched it for like 30 seconds and they were like, so do you guys think you can fill the live room every week? And we were like, yeah, but without thinking about it.
Yeah.
And then we just started doing this weekly sketch show, which is like a weird thing, because like you gotta write sketches every week.
Yeah.
Like, especially if it's like we were like trying to fill this room, and it was like we couldn't do the same show every week, so we had to like. We had like a catalog of sketches, but it was also like we had to like constantly be giving people something new, and that's like how we learned how to do sketch comedy. Really, that's like when we like really got our kind of creative voice, was just doing weekly live shows and writing something new every week. And then after a year, we're like, all right, we're gonna celebrate our year anniversary by like having a big show and inviting press out, and like we invited all this press out. They were like hitting us back, and we're like, yeah, like if you guys told us like a couple months into doing your show, we would have come and reviewed you, and it was like, okay, you didn't have to wait a year. But luckily by then I think we were actually like a lot better.
Yeah.
And then so this article was written about us in Time Out New York that had like a cover tag, and that helped us get like agents and managers. And then we got like a pilot presentation thing off of that.
Oh, yeah.
And then that fell through. They didn't like it. And then we started pitching right around the time that was like kind of falling through. We got into the Aspen Comedy Arts Festival, and then that's where we like had our first round of like real offers. And I remember Comedy Central wanted to do a pilot with us.
Yeah.
And Fuse we were like meeting with, and Comedy Central was you know like yeah come on, do a pilot. And Fuse was like basically said we know what you guys do, we like it, we want to do something with you, and you guys can do whatever you want and do 10 episodes.
Oh, that's
sort
fucking
of just
awesome,
like the
dude.
offer of like skipping the pilot process and going straight to like having something out there was like the thing that like was like, yeah, this is what we want to do. And it was and before that like offer of do whatever you want to do too, we were trying to come up with like these more high concept shows.
Mm-hmm.
And then once it was like, hey, you can do whatever you want to do, we were like, yeah, let's do a sketch show. We've been making sketches for years. Yeah.
Did they ever like reject any sketches from you guys?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was we did Fuse for a year, and then we did there was this whole corporate merger where Fuse was taken over by like Cablevision, and or Rainbow Media merged with like, Cablevision.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who were like working on the show at Fuse went to IFC, and the new people at Fuse were like, it seemed like they weren't into the show at all.
Yeah.
And so that's how we were able to like basically push this deal where we would go to IFC with the people that were kind of championing us there. And and so that was like, when we went over to IFC, they were like, we're uncut, uncensored, so you can do whatever you want. And that was in the second season, and we took that as like a challenge.
Yeah.
And it turns out like people won't just give you money to make whatever you want.
Yeah.
And so there was a sketch that was that we never got on, that we actually submitted multiple seasons just as like in hopes that it would get on. It was a baby stripper sketch.
Oh my god.
It was a cuter sketch than
what it sounds, yeah.
It sounds dirtier than it is. But I mean, like, that's the line we were trying to tread always, was that like, how can we take like a horrible idea or something that on like some level is horrible and like make it silly and make it palatable. And but we never cracked the baby stripper.
Yeah, definitely taking.
But yeah.
No, you guys did that so well, like making like fucked up things just really silly, dude.
Yeah, that was. Yeah. Thank you. It was a challenge. Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think you need to like have a good sketch group? Like, what are like the key ingredients?
Honestly, I think it's there's definitely like, you have to have some pretty driven people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have like a good relationship with these people, where it is like, I mean, the guys that I made that show with, it is the close, like, I have a brother, but it's like the closest thing I'd have to a brother relationship outside of that, where it's like that you may not always like each other, but you always love each other.
Yeah.
And so I think that is like a big part of it, is like having people that you can be that kind of honest with, and have your kind of ups and downs with. I feel like I'm being so boring right now.
You're not at all. I'm like, see, this is very interesting to me. Like, you're not being boring at all.
Why are we talking about cum?
We can talk about cum.
Yeah.
I've like two.
No, that's the other thing. Is I think we just like constantly make cum jokes and stuff like that. It was like, you know, like we fuck like to this day. So we do these live streams every once in a while, and it's like, oh, it's kind of an inside joke of like how long it takes for like cum or like porn to come up in conversation when we're shooting the shit. And like, yeah, and it's not that we're like, hey, so what kind of porn you watching? We're like, you know, we'll make a joke that's like a very blue joke. Yeah.
Speaking of cum, when was the last time you came?
I
think it.
I'm not gonna answer that.
It's like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's before I came.
Yeah, right before I came in.
I have a kid, and I don't get the house to myself often.
I don't remember actually, no, the last time I came was yesterday.
Sick.
It wasn't good.
No?
No, it was like one of those where it was just like, it felt like it was going to be good, but then it was just like,
It took too long to get there.
Yeah, it took like too long to get there, and then it was just like,
I'm just going through the motions now. I'm like,
it just like
not in it.
It just like sort of just like spit out, nothing good. Like,
it is the dumbest thing. It is. God's design is so silly. Yeah, it is like insane how much we've. I mean, I don't know. Now I feel like I'm like opening up about cum. I feel like I'm getting like.
Please do.
No, but it is something that is so silly. It is like, oh yeah, we get so excited, and then our penis sneezes. You know, it's just like, then we have to deal with like penis snot being everywhere. And yeah, I mean, I probably masturbated more than I've done most things in my life, you know?
Yeah. So,
not that I'm like doing it. It's not like I'm running everywhere and being like,
yeah,
oh, I gotta go masturbate. No, not one of those like.
I had a friend like that, dude. Like, yeah.
There was like some people I've had conversations with that were like, that I would like work with in like office jobs, and they'd be like, yeah, I've gone jerked off in the office bathroom before.
It's like, whoa, dude.
Well, I'm not going that far. It's like, he just looked at me like, what?
Like, I had this one roommate where it's like, hey, we're gonna go out to eat. Do you want to come? And he's just like, yeah, give me a second. And then he would like jerk off first. And it was just like, dude, you have to do that right now? Like, let's go, dude.
Did you know? Or
yeah, we know you're jerking off. Like, we can hear you. Like, we're all just silently waiting, just like, fuck, dude.
Oh, you do it like right there?
No,
like,
you just go, you just shut his door. Like, it was a small place, so. Yeah, dude. Like, once I worked at Walmart, I caught this dude jerking off in the bathroom. Like, well, I didn't catch him. This customer came up to me while I was working in the photo lab.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, like, there's a dude in the bathroom jerking off right now. You got to do something about it. I was like, what?
I'd be like, no, I don't. That's not on my job description.
I was just like, fuck, dude, I want to get in trouble, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, I went and told my manager.
Yeah.
And the manager was like, yeah, dude, just go in there and, like, try to get him to stop. I was like, what, dude?
Yeah, that sounds like a manager job.
Yeah, I was like, dude, like, fuck. So I went in there, and he, like, I was imagining when I heard this from a customer that he was just jerking off standing in the middle of the bathroom. Yeah. He was in the stall, but the stall was opened. So, like, he was, like, trying to, like, have someone walk by, but he wasn't, like, blatantly just like, I'm jerking off.
Yeah,
but like he was jerking off
open.
Yeah, he's like, doors open, hope you don't see me.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was jerking off in there, and I was like, hey man, like, you know, can you hurry this up? Like,
He was like,
can you at least shut the door? Like,
he's like, if I shut the door though, you can't come in.
Yeah.
I know. You know anyone a little bit? You're like, no. Yeah.
Fucking Walmart, dude.
Yeah. I know.
I read this. I was like reading this article. It was. I don't even think it wasn't even an article. I don't want to say it was an article. It was just like a paragraph on a website, and it was like it said that you guys like found Timmy like on 9/11.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
and when I read it, then that was all the context it gave. So was it like during the attacks or like it just happened and then like he's just like an orphan child and like you found him?
Yeah, he was like in the rubble.
Yeah, like, oh no.
We're walking by and we're like, come here. Come with us if you want to live.
Yeah.
And then we're like, you gotta make cum jokes now. So that dorm was like across it was right by...
He was in the Rutgers.
It was right by the Brooklyn Bridge in Brooklyn, and like, yeah, you know, it was September 2001 that we were going back to college.
Oh no, wait! So you were in New York.
So it was my second year of school, and it was funny because like that first year of school, like at that dorm was like fucking crazy. Like we like I got in trouble for lighting the dorm on fire.
How did that even happen?
It wasn't me. It was a friend of mine. We were just really drunk, and he thought it'd be funny if he was doing photo transfer stuff, and he threw acetate down on the carpet, and we were roughhousing, and then threw his cigarette into the acetate, and it was a chemical fire on this carpet that was like the building had burnt down before.
Oh fuck!
So it was all like fireproof carpeting and stuff like that. Burnt down in like the 80s or something.
Yeah.
Well, Flick is onto something.
Yeah.
Flicka. But you're ruining the podcast. But yeah, and then there was this whole thing of like, I literally got called into the office at the dorm, and they were like, "Did you light the dorm on fire last night?" But I was like blackout drunk, and I was like, "I don't know."
Oh no!
like don't play stupid, and it's like, I'm not playing stupid, I swear. And like it was like flashes of stuff was coming back to me as they were grilling me on it. And I remember I just like, as soon as they were done with it, and they're like, "This isn't over," I like went back to my room, and I like just threw up everything in my stomach. But so that first year was crazy, and then went back the second year, and my room was on the 11th floor, but it was facing like into Brooklyn, and I was like just so excited to be back at school. And then like, you know, like 1 week into being back there, I, you know, get a phone call from my mom. She's like, "Where are you?" I was like, "You called my dorm room on a landline. You know where I am." And she's like, "A plane hit the World Trade Center." And I was like, "So?" And she knew I had like a nice camera, so she was like, "Get your camera, go down to the promenade and take pictures and stuff. It's like, this is history happening." And I was like, "Oh, whatever." And so, yeah, I like went down to the promenade. I saw Trevor had his video camera there. Like later I found his video and saw it, and he's like, "Sam, what's going on here?" And I was like, "Oh, I guess Aaliyah flew a plane into the..." Aaliyah died like a month earlier in a plane crash. And so in between the second tower being hit and either tower following, I was making Aaliyah jokes. Please don't cancel me.
No, it's chill, dude. Dude, every podcast I've been talking about 9/11, so it's fine.
Been long enough.
Yeah, it's been long enough. Yeah, it has.
The too soon bubble is.
It's fine.
It's ripe.
Yeah.
Let's take 9/11 down a peg. But then Timmy went back to my room and I was hanging out and I was like watching it on the news and like it was like one of those things where everyone was like, you know, kind of like hanging out in the hallway and being like, hey, what's going on? And Timmy was across the hall from me. And his neighbor, this girl Robin, who we also ended up being friends with for a long time, and she was like, "Hey, do you guys want to watch it in my room? Watch the news in my room?" And we're like, "Sure." And so where we could actually see the World Trade Center, and it was crazy because I didn't see one of the first tower fall, and I went. It was when I was going back to my room. And my roommate was like, "Yeah, Tower 1's down or Tower 2's down." And I remember thinking like, well, he's got to mean the fire's out.
Yeah.
And being like, oh, that's good. That was my response to that was, oh, that's good. Like I just made an Aaliyah joke and now I'm happy that the tower fell. No, I and then like looking at the TV and being like, oh no, it fell. And then like it was across the hall and I was like watching everything and I was like, I wonder if they're going to show it on TV. I mean, I wonder, is that weird? Is that disrespectful? Is that, I don't know. I mean, like it's the tower fall. I like it. And then I'm watching the news and I'm seeing the tower fall and I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then I realized it says live. And I look out the window and I'm seeing the second tower fall. I was like, oh. Whoa. And I was like, how do I write a sketch about this? How do I write a sketch about this? But like, honestly, that was like the weird thing was being in this sketch group, like post 9/11 and super like the world was insane. And everyone was like, everything was so serious at that moment. And we were like at our most like disaffected by anything. Like, it's I don't know. I feel like I just made up words. But we were like, we're the shittiest. You know, 18-year-olds are shitty. Like, there's no repercussions. It's like, oh, like, I'm like, my mom can't judge anything I do now. And like,
I'm out of the house.
Yeah. And you don't really get the weight of things. And so, like, our way of coping with, like, the end of the world was just, like, making weird sketches about it and stuff. And there was, like, a lot of, like, terror scares in New York at that time.
Yeah.
Like, in the aftermath of that. And so we used to just have end of the world parties. Like, every weekend was like, oh,
that's sick.
They say this weekend someone's gonna dirty bomb New York. I guess we're just gonna party. And then, and that's, you know, how we like disguised our alcoholism for so long.
Fucking when you said that you guys were making sketches about it, like when as soon as I heard about 9/11 happening as a kid, I was like making videos like a lot then. And I was trying to convince my dad, like, to, like, buy me, like, a model plane so I can make my own, like, and they were like, you can't do that. That's messed up.
But you don't get it.
I don't get it. Like, I'm a kid, and I'm like, no, I'm trying to make it, like, a serious thing. Yeah. And they're like, no, you're not doing that. like, I just didn't understand, dude. But I was like, I'll make the thing, like, it's serious.
It's so funny, like, so I have a 1-year-old, and one thing I noticed that like is so entertaining to him is anything he can do that can affect the world around him. Like, if he has a toy, and Flicka is like wants that toy, he thinks it's so amusing to him that like, oh, if I you know, have this, all of a sudden the dog is paying attention to me. If he throws food off his plate, and he's like, oh my god, I can make stuff happen in the world. And that is like kind of in a way what we're doing, like especially that like 2000s comedy was like very much like, oh, we can like, you know, say stuff and people will react to the stuff that we say, and we will get this reaction out of people, and there's something exciting about that. But yeah, I'm part of me is glad that like YouTube didn't exist back then, so there isn't like this, you know, etched in stone record.
yeah.
Like me figuring out where the line was. You know?
Yeah, I feel like that's a problem for a lot of people now.
Yeah. That's kids have to deal with that, not me. Yeah.
Are there any topics you won't joke about?
I mean, it's funny because, like I said earlier, that like I teach this sketch class, and it's a lot of like fans of the show that like take the sketch class, and I think it's like a real like surprise to some people when they bring in their sketches that are like very edgy, and it's like, okay, we should talk about this, you know, like because. You know, I don't want to come off as an asshole when people see my comedy, you know? And I've definitely done stuff where I feel like, oh, I do come off like an asshole. And, it's my goal to, like, not, you know... I feel like if I'm, you know, just leaving it at that and being lazy, you know?
So, I was, like, looking at your IMDb, and I saw this somewhere else, too. Do you like, because I know you're a writer. You write for some different kids shows and stuff too. Yeah,
I mean, I wrote for Trevor's first kids show, which was Walk the Prank. It's funny, the offices are like on this block
nice.
that we used to be in. And then I also did a cartoon that was created by Mike Chillian called Tig and Seek. That I don't know if you can find it anywhere now. It was part of that whole HBO Max like purge of content.
Yeah.
But that was like one of my favorite things.
So it was on HBO. It was like on.
Yeah, well, it was made originally for Cartoon Network, and by the time it actually came out, they had the whole HBO Max merge.
Yeah.
And so it was like the first wave of like cartoons that premiered on HBO Max.
Okay.
And so I think it's officially like an HBO Max cartoon, but like really it was the Cartoon Network kind of company that put it out. And yeah, it was cool. It was like I was surprised. I came in on at the third season of the cartoon, and like one of the first episodes we were doing, I pitched like, oh, what if in like the end of this episode a meteor blows up the world and we just see all the characters' skeletons, and they were like, all right, and they're like, we probably won't be able to do. Someone will probably have a note about this, but we'll write it in. And I was like, oh, cool. And then it ended up getting on.
That's awesome.
And I was like, oh, this is cool. And so we started doing like a lot of like weird kind of deep references, like model it. Like I did like an episode that was like basically a parody of Single White Female, and like these weird. We did a whole like David Lynch episode. And,
oh, that's sick.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, because I was wondering like if you were gonna like if you were writing for a kid show, would you try to like sneak in some like darker humor?
I mean, like,
because I feel like they do that with a lot of shows sometimes.
It wasn't even like
on purpose, or
I mean, it wasn't even trying to like sneak in darker humor. It was like really just like, because I didn't really view it as like a kids show. It's just like a show that we're not allowed to swear on, really.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, that makes sense.
And like, like all the jokes we were making, like it was heightened, but it was like at the same time, it was just like a joke's a joke, Like, we weren't like, making like, I tried to think of an example of a smart joke, but
Yeah.
I was like, we were making like Oliver North jokes.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means. No, yeah, it was super fun to work on, and it was a really fun small writing staff, and yeah.
Fuck yeah. Where do you like see like comedy going now?
I don't know. It's funny. Like, there's that whole like comedy's dead thing. Like that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't say anything anymore. And what I'm saying is like, it's like, oh no, it's like you have to like, you have to like think. You know, you have to.
Yeah.
You know, you have to work a little bit more and like think about how things are framed. I think like, you know, people don't want to enjoy comedy from like just straight up assholes. I think there still has to be like an endearing element to what people are doing, and you know, maybe like people are getting called out on their shit a little bit more.
Yeah.
This day and age, but like at the same time, it's just like that's sort of the evolution of things, is to like kind of figure out how to frame things and how to like, you know, yeah, like how to make this joke without, you know, making people feel bad about themselves, you know?
Yeah.
And not that like, you know, we should be using kid gloves or anything like that, but like I think that there's definitely this middle ground. And I think a thing is that there's been this big like weaponization of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's this whole thing of like just like taking stuff out of context and like kind of like looking at what something is on like the just the purest face value. And I think there honestly will be kind of like a return to the context and framing and that idea of like, you know, not just reacting to the base of what someone's saying and react to the actual like intent of what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there will be, and you know, I think this summer has been like there's been a lot of big comedy movies like Bottoms and
I need to see that still.
yeah, and it's like broad comedy, you know, like it's wacky and like heightened and
yeah, I want more comedy movies.
Yeah, no, it's like
I miss that like so much.
Yeah, no, I mean like
because it's just like this. It's pretty much like the studios just won't make them as much because of like they're making all these like IP like different like things that are gonna make money or like what's it's pretty much it, right?
I miss being in a dark room and laughing with people. Like,
yeah,
you know, like there's the whole like streaming thing, and there's kind of this thing of like, oh well, like people aren't going out to movies because they'll see stuff on streaming, and now they're realizing like, oh, people still want to go to movies.
Yeah,
it just has to be like, you know, like there has to be a little bit more to what they're doing, and yeah, I miss seeing a comedy with an audience, you know?
Yeah, so
like,
do I.
It doesn't have the same weight when you're like at home alone watching shit on
it's
TV.
such a totally different experience, like seeing in theater and like laughing with everyone and just having a good time. Yeah, like I'll go to I go to the movies every weekend usually, at least. Like I go as much as possible. I like going to the theater.
Oh, dude, do not have a child.
It's just not gonna happen.
I've been taking my kid to the drive-in. Is what it is. That's like the.
I haven't been to a drive-in in forever.
Oh, there's one in like Paramount.
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
There was this one drive-in like in India because I grew up in Indiana.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Where?
Near Gary, Indiana. Okay. It's like close to Chicago.
One of the writers from Tig-and-Seek is from Indiana.
Nice.
From like that, like I think, kind of close to Chicago. Part.
Yeah, like Northwest Indiana. It's like because that part of Indiana is like more like you only hear about Chicago. Like you only get Chicago news. Like you don't even hear about the rest of Indiana at all. And it's like slightly more like not that it's like fast paced like the big city or anything, but it's like different than the rest of Indiana completely.
We spent a bunch of time in Bloomington because they have the comedy
Yeah.
attic there.
Yeah.
And that was like one of our favorite places to go. And
Yeah, Bloomington's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like Bloomington.
I always had a really good time there.
Yeah. But yeah, like there was this drive-in theater when I was a kid, like near like where I lived, and we would always like my uncle would take us, like me and like my cousins and stuff, and he would only want to pay for like 2 people, and he would make us all hide under blankets and shit. It was so funny. He was just really cheap.
Nice, yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to give him my money.
Yeah, he's like, nah.
It's legitimate business.
He's like, nope, not doing that. And then it's like, we get snacks? No, we brought snacks.
I'm sitting around like, man, why aren't there more drive-ins? You know?
Yeah.
Like everyone's paying for one ticket.
That's just killing the fucking drive-in sales.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Then I used to do that when I was a teenager, too.
Yeah.
I started doing it, too.
First time I did ecstasy was at a drive-in.
That sounds like a crazy place to do ecstasy for the first time.
Double feature.
Yeah.
The Disney's Tarzan and Inspector Gadget, the Matthew Broderick Inspector Gadget.
That movie is insane.
What was funny was I like really like didn't have any like frame of reference for ecstasy, but my friends were all into fish, and so they'd like had ecstasy at fish concerts and stuff. And so they were like, "Hey, we're going to the drive-in," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm down." And then they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna do ecstasy there," and I was like, "Well, I guess. I mean, I want to go to the drive-in. So if you guys are doing ecstasy, I guess I'm doing ecstasy."
Yeah.
I was like so much more into the drive-in aspect of it. But then we went and we took the ecstasy on the way up to the drive-in, and as we pulled in, one of the guys was like, "Oh, you know, he'd never done it." He's like, "Oh, I think my heart's beating really fast. I think it's kicking in." And then like one by one, everyone was like started like feeling the effects of the ecstasy. And I was sitting there and like not feeling anything. And there was this point where everyone went to go look at their pupils. They were like, "Hey, we gotta go to the bathroom because it's crazy when you look at your pupils." And I was like, "Nah, dude, I'm good. That's awesome. Have fun." And I was like left alone and watching Disney's Tarzan, like by myself in the back of a truck at a drive-in. And I was like, "This fucking sucks." And then I was watching it, and there's this whole sequence where he's getting chased by baboons.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, this is pretty good." And they like mapped the whole thing off of, they had like Tony Hawk doing like
stuff, I
and
remember seeing something like that.
And so I was like watching that, and I was like, "Well, this is cool. This is really cool." I was like, this scene is awesome. This scene is the best scene I have ever. I think the ecstasy's kicking in. Like,
the first time I took ecstasy, I was wearing a Mario costume. It made it so much funnier.
Yeah.
And it was at this Halloween party, and like I just remember.
I wish it wasn't at a Halloween
I wish party. I was just wearing it in general. But yeah, I was.
I think we're both.
I was the only one there wearing a costume.
We both kind of fit that bill, though. If you put a blue set of overalls on us and a red shirt, we're essentially wearing a Mario costume.
Yeah. I feel like I'm more of a Wario right now. But like, I've definitely been Mario before.
Wario in the streets, Mario in the sheets.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. You ever hear like when you take acid, like people will be like, "Don't look in the mirror."
Oh yeah.
Like the first time I took acid, it was like New Year's or something, and like it was at this like hotel party, and someone told me that. I'm like, "Dude, I can look in the mirror. It doesn't matter. It's not gonna affect me." And I looked in the mirror and I was like stuck there for like 30 minutes, just like looking inside myself.
Yeah.
I was like, that was horrible. That was a horrible idea. I should have done that
myself, and I did not like what I saw.
Yeah, I got changed, dude. Like,
The first time I did acid, I really love this segment of the pod, where we're just like swapping our drugs through. The first time I did acid, it was funny because it was like a month after I'd been like 6 months sober.
Yeah.
Because like when I was like 27, I decided I would run the New York Marathon, and I hadn't run a mile before. And so I just trained for the New York Marathon and ran it and was in the best shape of my life.
Sick.
And so like that whole time I was like sober. And then like coming out of that, I was like, oh, I'm going to go back to drinking. I'm cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can just like kind of do whatever, you know. Some nights I can drink, some nights I can not drink. And I had this night where I like didn't drink, and then like at midnight I was at this bar. My friend was like, hey, stop by, I'm DJing. And he was in band with this guy, and the guy was like, hey man, you want some liquid acid? I was like, okay. Like,
yeah.
And it was like a Wednesday at midnight, and I like didn't think about like, this was like the other situation where I wasn't thinking about like, hey, how long does this last?
Yeah.
And so I ended up like basically staying up all night with a bunch of people, tripping our faces off. And at like early in the morning, everyone was kind of like going off and doing their thing. And the guy that like gave me acid was like, I'm gonna go get some breakfast. And I was like, oh, cool, breakfast would be good. And he goes, no, I'm gonna go and get some breakfast. And I was like, it was very like, you're on your own journey now, man. And I was like, okay. And I went into this diner, Kellogg's Diner in Williamsburg. And I was like, you know, I can still go and get breakfast myself. And I walked into the diner, and it just like, it fucking hit me so hard that like, oh, I'm the only one tripping right now. Like, I was in this situation where everyone was tripping, where we were all like, you know, like getting the shivers at the same time and all part of this thing. And now I'm the only one tripping. And so I acted so cagey. I went and I grabbed a newspaper and paid for it, and then just like sat at the table, like my nose in the newspaper. And as soon as I opened it up, I was like, I can't read words right now. And all I could do, eventually I like just fixated on the baseball box scores, because I was like, these numbers mean something. I get really cheesy when I trip. These numbers are energy. But I like the waiter came by, and I was just like, just order stuff. And I was like, you know, like English muffin, scrambled eggs, side of hash browns, coffee, and like just ordered this stuff. And the guy was just like, yep. And like didn't even like look up. And then like a couple minutes go by, and without even like stopping, he slams down the smallest cup of orange juice I've ever seen in my life. It was like a shot glass of orange juice. And I had this like panic that I was like, wait, orange juice? Like, I didn't order orange juice. Isn't orange juice like what they give to people on acid? Like, isn't that like during Woodstock? They're like, don't take the brown acid. If you did, have some orange juice and then vitamin C. And then I was like, did they know? Did they spot me? And they're like, oh, we got another tripper at table 9. Oh, give him the orange juice. And I like talked myself down from the ledge, and I was like, nope. I just like ordered a bunch of stuff that just happened to be a combo on the menu. The combo comes with a glass of fresh squeezed orange juice, and that comes in a really small glass. It was small fresh squeezed orange juice. So that's it. And then I took it like one step further, and I was like, because you know, sometimes, you know, life just provides what you need. You know, sometimes the universe and orange juice just goes well with acid, and It's just that like life is crazy. And I had that like that concrete thought of life is crazy when all of a sudden the intro kind of synth trumpets of Livin' La Vida Loca comes on, and I was like, I swear I was like crying in the middle of this diner, being like, this is the most beautiful moment of my life. Like, I am living La Vida. Like no one's been touched by Ricky Martin as much as I was in that moment.
That's fucking beautiful.
So yeah, that's when my life truly began.
Hell yeah. Yeah, dude, that's amazing. You have anything you want to promote?
Oh yeah, Mars, Whitest Kids present Mars. We wrote a movie like 10 years ago, and we originally were like, oh, we'll have it all take place in one location, and then when we wrote it, we like had it take place in a bunch of locations, and then eventually we were like, oh, well, we'll never be able to what if we made this a cartoon? And then when COVID happened, we were like, hey, let's use Twitch to gain funding for this, and basically like crowdfunded it, but also put all our revenue into funding it, and managed to get through like the storyboards and the radio play before Trevor passed away. And so this is Trevor's last project, and we're right now in like the final stages of finishing it up, and it's been something that like the production alone has been 3 years.
Shit.
And we probably wrote the first draft of the script 11 years ago, and so we're gonna be putting that out soon. We're figuring out a way to put that out soon, so be excited about that. And
yeah, that sounds fucking sick.
In the meantime, we still have our Twitch channel that we still do stuff on, official WKUK on Twitch, twitch.tv/official WKUK, and every other Saturday we'll do a stream with the Whitest Kids guys, and every Sunday me and my brother do a stream called Trailer Boys, where we watch movie trailers.
Oh, hell yeah.
And that's a real fun one, yeah. So yeah, check out Trailer Boys, check out Self Suck Saturdays, check out our Twitch channel, yeah.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Thank you for having me.
No, this was fun, dude.
I'm glad we got to talk about drugs and cum eventually.
Yeah,
I felt like I was being boring at first.
You weren't.
And then we got into the drugs and cum, and I was like, all right, this is where I feel good.
Hell yeah. Thanks everyone for watching this episode of Maximum Zach. Make sure you subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/MaximumZach. There's a whole other podcast on there, so check that shit out. I have some stand-up dates coming up. Come see me, and stay maximum.
Is that your slogan every time? Or?
It's so stupid, but I say it every time.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fucking really dumb.
Part of it felt like you made it up right now.
That's good. I like that.
You should just change it up every time. Though.
Yeah.
Stay to the max.
Stay to the max.